guys about the last book haul that I had last year. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your fave bookish tita, your Tita Kate, and today I am going to talk to you guys about the last book haul that I had last year. So these books that I'm going to talk about to you guys right now are books that I received as Christmas presents and the last books that I got from publishers towards the end of 2020. And some of these books I have been super excited to get started on. Some of them I haven't really heard a lot about, but I looked them up on Goodreads and it turns out they sound like they're cool books. So, I'm excited to get to read all of these essentially. And hopefully everything that I talk about on this video by next year I will have read, because that is really a habit that I'm trying to curb. I don't wanna, I don't want to be that person who has a shit ton of books that they bought in the previous year and in the next year they're still unread. I'm really trying hard not to do that anymore, I swear, my hand to God. So hopefully by 2022 I can look back on this video and proudly say that every book that I mentioned here I have read. So we have here A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White. Now this is an Orbit book, and we all know that I love Orbit. I got this book with some Christmas money that was sent to me from some relatives, and this is a sci-fi novel. I don't actually really know what this is about, other than I know it has something to do with racing, and it's of course a science fiction book, and the author is queer, so I think this book also has a shit ton of queer representation, so I'm excited for that. But I bought it because I was intrigued by the premise of racing in space and also the queer representation. And I'm also trying to read more science fiction. I know that I'm primarily a fantasy reader, but I want to branch out, I want to read more of other genres, and I've managed to do that with other genres, but not really science fiction, and I'm really trying to find diverse science fiction. I really don't want to read science fiction, to be honest, that was written by a cis-het white man. So I'm really trying to look for science fiction that was written by queer authors, authors of color, disabled authors, just authors from marginalized communities. So when I saw that this was such a book, I decided to get it. And I'm actually really super excited to read this. I might read this in June, maybe, for Pride Month, since the author's queer and it's got queer rep. Speaking of science fiction, I have a duology here. So I have Heart of Iron and Soul of Stars. And I got Heart of Iron as a Christmas gift from a very good friend of mine, Kat. And she is also a Filipino booktuber. I'll leave her link in the description box below. And a real life friend of mine, so she's not really part of the bookish community, got me Soul of Stars when she found out that I had Heart of Iron. So now I have the duology. And this is basically a science fiction retelling of Anastasia. And it's got everything that you love about space operas. So it's got your plucky heroines and robots and planets and royalty. And a bunch of my bookish friends have read this duology, and these are friends whose taste I trust, and they said that they love the books. So I am going to give them a chance and read this. Speaking of Orbit, I also got sent The Once and Future Witches, which is Alex E. Harrow's second book. So thank you, Orbit, for sending this over to me. And to be honest, I was really happy to get this in the mail because I was curious about it. But at the same time, this book costs 1,500, almost 1,500 pesos here in local bookstores. So I was not about to shell out that much, to be honest. So thank you, Orbit, for not making me have to spend that much on a single book. And here it is. I haven't really heard that much about this book yet, but I know that it's about witchcraft and the suffragette movement, so that sounds pretty cool. And I really like, diverse historical fiction. I am really not into historical fiction that's just generally all about, cis-het white people. I really like it when the historical fiction that I'm looking at, sort of takes a look at the alternative, or, at communities that were marginalized rather than just the standard fare that we usually get. So I'm hoping that this book will be something like that. Next two books I got as a gift from another Filipino booktuber, and I'm gonna leave her link in the description box below. And these are Clap When You Land and House of Salt and Sorrows, which were sent to me by my good friend Ina. Like I said, she's a Filipino booktuber as well, and I'm gonna leave her link in the description box below. Basically, she could not have sent me like books that I would be more excited for. I'm super excited to read these both. Clap When You Land came out earlier this 2020. House of Salt and Sorrows came out last year. I've been excited to read both, but I've never really had the opportunity to get my hands on these books. So thank you, Ina, so much. I'm super excited. This one is by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I've only read one Elizabeth Acevedo book before, which was With the Fire on High, and I absolutely really loved it. So I'm excited to read more of her work. And basically, this is about two sisters who discover that they are sisters when their father dies in a plane crash, and it's written in verse. And apparently, like, Elizabeth Acevedo's verse is really good. I've only ever read her prose, so I'm excited to dive into this. Then House of Salt and Sorrows is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and I freaking love that fairy tale, you guys. Like, the 12 Dancing Princesses was one of my favorite Barbie movies, to be honest. And I'm a little sad that not too many YA fantasies are exploring this fairy tale. Because, like, I am done and over Beauty and the Beast retellings, to be honest. Like, give other fairy tales their chance at the limelight, and I'm so excited that one of my favorites has finally been adapted into a YA book, so I really can't wait to start reading this either. Thank you, Ina, for these gifts. I also finally got myself a copy of All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. Now, I've been having this book recommended to me since the beginning of 2020. Apparently, it features like mermaids and pirates, and it's very ruthless. And to be honest, after the disappointment of To Kill a Kingdom, which I really didn't like, and which also touted itself as like The Little Mermaid but more bloodthirsty, more ruthless, I was kind of not super excited about this book. But then several people whose taste in books that I trust said that, you know, where To Kill a Kingdom failed, this book succeeded. It's really bloodthirsty, it's really like the heroine, our mermaid heroine, is very ruthless and cunning. So with those promises of not being disappointed, I decided to go ahead and get myself a copy. So here it finally is, and I'm excited to read it. Orbit was really good to me this year, you guys. They also sent me a copy of The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter, one of my most anticipated sequels of the year. It's the sequel to The Rage of Dragons, which I have over here. And now, because they sent me the hardback, I now want to get my hands on a hardback of The Rage of Dragons. So great marketing, Orbit, because now you're making me spend more. Love it. But basically, Fire of Vengeance and Rage of Dragons are a military fantasy, and it's basically all about colonization and magic and how you use your position or privilege in society, whether you actually believe in the cause that you're undergoing. So I am super excited to get on this. I read Rage of Dragons early last year, I think January, and I absolutely freaking loved it. So like I was super excited to get my hands on the sequel. And to be honest, I think I need to reread the first book because I pretty much don't remember the things that happened, and like I'm pretty sure I need to refresh myself before I dive into the sequel. So I'm going to be rereading Rage next year, maybe in January or in February, before I get started on Fires of Vengeance. Next, I found myself discounted copies of For a Muse of Fire and A Kingdom for a Stage by Heidi Heilig. And the third book in this trilogy comes out, I think, later next year, like maybe mid next year. I don't really remember. And I remember a lot of people saying that they really liked For a Muse of Fire. So I found discounted copies of both books that I finally got my hands on them. I'm super excited to read these in preparation for the release of the last book in the trilogy. These books are basically a fantasy version of the French colonization of Vietnam. So I love that. I love it when fantasy talks about the effects of real-world colonization, real-world imperialism. So I'm super excited to read these, and my god, these covers are amazing. Lastly, I finally got as a Christmas gift one of my most anticipated reads of 2020, which I haven't read yet. So I'm probably going to read this in 2021 already, and that is Black Sun by Rebecca Rowan Horse. I absolutely freaking loved Rebecca's book Trail of Lightning, and I have heard nothing but good things about this book. Like literally everyone whose taste in books that I trust said that they freaking adored this one so much. So I'm super excited to read this, and honestly that cover is just super gorgeous. It's like all of this blue and yellow is so beautiful, and I really can't wait to read this. I'm going to read this in January. I cannot wait to get started. This is basically inspired by Native American mythology. I haven't read too much about which particular First Nations legends inspired this book, or if it was, you know, the particular nation that Rebecca Roanhorse is from. But I am sure that this book is going to be amazing no matter what, because like I have heard nothing but good things about this, I swear. Literally everyone whose taste I trust in books said that they adored this, so I'm pretty sure I will too. So that was my last haul for last year, 2020. And I just want to thank everyone who got me books for Christmas over the holidays, who sent me money so that I could get books, and of course to the publishers who also sent me books. Thank you so much for enabling my habit, I guess. And I swear to God, by this time in 2022, all of these books I will have read. I swear, my hand to God. If you've read any of these books, leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of it. If you haven't read any of these books but do want to read them, let me know also. If you want a buddy read, send me a message. If you got any books over the holidays, also let me know. I'd love to see that. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, click the little bell thingy to be notified whenever I post a video. And I will see you next time. Stay fresh. Love from your fave tita.